The owner allows that guy to give you the bag of money up front, which in turn takes those cap hits down. And one of the reasons that you're so far under the cap, it's a reflection of the front office. Here is where you get your kudos for what you have done when it comes to being the best cap management football team in the National Football League. We are how many days out? 67 days out. 67 days out from the start of training camp. And to me, this is where you see your football team being made. But without further ado, how we start this bad puppy off? Big Sills! Hey, man. I got to give it to ESP, the resident mouthpiece for the Philadelphia Eagles and WIP. Even though he's a credent, he does good work. He does. He does good work. Covers the team diligently. I don't know if he's as good as John. I think John's work is impeccable when he covers the Philadelphia Eagles. And I say that not because he works here. You know me. Big Sills throws shade on everyone. I don't care if you work with me or you don't work with me. I'm going to throw shade on your ass. And John does impeccable work when it comes to covering that football team. He really does. And we're really glad to have him here with us. And that's what makes our channel probably second to none when it gives you the straight and the skinny when it comes to covering the Philadelphia Eagles. And he's doing a nice job covering it right now and giving us a little bit of the insight of what we're looking at on 7 on 7. By the way, before we get going, do me a favor. We're trying to get to 200 likes. By the end of the day, even after we go off, we're always over that number. But I like to do it by the end of the program. So let's see if we can kind of hit that number. We'll get it today. I know we will. Yesterday, we were a little bit shy of it. So let's see that we get that number up to 200 again. You guys have been absolutely awesome. Hey, I'll tell you what I did like to see on 7 on 7, and I liked what I heard on 7 on 7, was that Devin White and Zach Bond were the inside linebackers during 7 on 7. No Nakobe Dean. That tells you a lot where Vic is now. And I'm going to get to Vic Fangio here. Seems to be a lot of conversation about him. And not in Philly, in South Florida. So what did we do? We reached out to Armando Salguero. I talked to him last night. I talked to some of the people in the Miami Dolphin organization, some of the people in the Miami media. And we're going to hit on Vic here in a second. In the secondary, on the perimeter, Slay, Rogers, Maddox were your corners. No Bradbury. Are they telling Bradbury to stay away because they're moving him? Look, you're not going to get any value for the kid. James Bradbury is not going to return you any type of value that you're going to care about. He's got a big cap hit number. He's got a big salary. He's not going to return. And plus his production last year, you'd be lucky to get a 5th or 6th rounder for him. Be lucky to get that. So don't be expecting, well, let's trade him for it. You're not getting a 3rd rounder. You're not trading him in a package deal for somebody. You're just not. Now, you have to take everything with a grain of salt here. These guys are in helmets and shorts. Don't go overboard like you all do. Let's keep everything in perspective. It's helmets and shorts. Speaking of helmets, I love our fan base, and I love the people that watch the program. One of my former coaches at my high school, Stanford Catholic in Stamford, Connecticut, sent me a helmet. He didn't coach me. He's not Joe Anslow, and I was there back 100,000 years ago in the early 80s. But they sent Big Sills a Stanford Catholic helmet. These are the helmets we wore in high school. It's not exactly my helmet. Catholic League and all that. Old Stanford Catholic helmet. Pretty dope, huh? Catholic High. Who would have thought I went to a Catholic high school? So we thank everybody. We get all kinds of great gifts that people send us. So yeah, and one of the legendary high schools. I played with 3 pros. Get this, we had 35 guys on my high school football team. We both went both ways, or all of us went both ways. Played center, and I linebacker, defensive end. I was an edge rusher, and I played center. And we had 3 pros on the team. Dave Pazzulli went to Pitt, then went on and played a 7-year career in the NFL. Tony Brown went to Pitt, and he played in the NFL. And, of course, I went to Miami and played in the National Football League, too, and got drafted. So pretty crazy that you had that few of guys. And we used to play against schools that had 3,000 kids in them. And I think our graduating class had 160 people in it. But we were all recruited. So that's pretty cool, man. Yeah, hey, Harold, how did I know somebody was not going to go that way? Sills went both ways. Okay, whatever. Just absolute credence. All right, let's get into this here. Why do you guys have $30 million in cap space? Why do the Eagles have $30 million in cap space? What are you planning on doing with it? I don't think you're planning on doing anything with it this year. You're not making a deal. You got $30 million in cap space. What are you going to do with it? As a matter of fact, and I'm going to say this. Look, the Eagles aren't cheap. Organizations like Dallas, if they had $30 million in cap space, would be cheap. CZ, follow me here. I said something yesterday that I'm going to take back, that the Eagles were cheap. They're not. This is a product of cap management. I wanted to correct that. $27.7 million is a reflection of Howie. Because you get this, you spent $10 million on a running back. You spent $25 million. Now you're spending $30 million on one wide receiver and $25 on another. You're paying a quarterback $50 million. I mean, you gave an edge rusher $18 million. You just gave Gardner Johnson $7 million. So it's not like the Eagles don't spend their money. They just know how to put contracts together and cap management. This is without a doubt, in my opinion, a reflection of Howie's brilliance when it comes to just being able to construct these contracts. Most teams would be $27 million over the cap when you're spending that kind of money. Not the Eagles. The owner allows that guy to give you the bag of money up front, which in turn takes those cap hits down. And one of the reasons that you're so far under the cap, it's a reflection of the front office. Here is where you get your kudos for what you have done when it comes to being the best cap management football team in the National Football League. And I don't think it's close. That is an absolute reflection of Howie and the front office. Look, I'm critical of the guy. I think he sucks as a personnel guy on defense. But at the end of the day, he's brilliant at these cap numbers. Crowley might be the best. $27.7 million shows you he is. And you had a down, get this, the Eagles had a down year winning 11 games. Self-inflicted wounds. And you're still 27.7 under the cap. Can I tell you something? If you're a 49er fan, whose window is open longer for a Super Bowl run, the Eagles or the Niners? By the way, I can't believe I'm starting my program out like this. But I wanted to make sure that I came correct with why it's not cheap what the Eagles are doing. It's not cheap. It's smart. The Eagles' window for a Super Bowl opportunity, on what Xander said yesterday, is open longer than what the 49ers have to win this year. They got to win now. Because when you start paying that quarterback, McCaffrey is in danger of not being on that team. Debo, Ayuk, one of those guys will not be on the team. What are you going to do with Kittle? What are you going to do with Bosa's $30+ million bucks? I mean, you got to win now. Today. You don't have a Super Bowl window. You don't have a Super Bowl window in San Francisco. The Eagles have one. You know why? They got $30 million in mistake money. Think about that. The 49, hey, guys, do me a favor. How much money? Hey, Prince, Niners contracts are crazy. Will somebody do me a favor right now? I should have did this and I should have did my homework. I apologize. Where are the 49ers right now in cap space? Does somebody, I know a lot of you in here do a lot of that stuff. Where are the Niners right now in cap space? And I'll show you the difference in mistake money. The Eagles have mistake money. They can make mistakes because they got $30 million bucks in a reserve. That's running your company to the T's, and it's an excellent, excellent position to be in. I mean, think about all those contracts. And like Prince said, Kyle, there's $16 million under the cap. That's better than what I thought. Prince, 16.2, that's actually better than I thought with all those massive contracts. But here's the key. They ain't paying their quarterback yet. You guys are paying your quarterback. When that quarterback's money hits and they got to start paying Brock Purdy, man, that's $16 million. You may be $16 million in the hole. Just saying. Eagles are in a great place. Financially, they are in a great place. And, hey, look at M. Reyes. How he's pointing a gun at Sills behind the camera. So, I'm not supposed to be sitting here pointing out the things that they do great. And I want to make sure that I come out and say that the 27.7 is not cheap because they do spend money and that it's brilliant in what they're doing. And I've called it before and said that Howie is without a doubt the best cap management and contract negotiator that there is in the league. I'm not getting it here. This isn't a one-side conversation. Once again, I want everyone to understand something here. This is the only show that gives it to you straight, no matter what side of the aisle we're on. No matter what side of the aisle. And if he does something great, I'm going to recognize it. You hate the guy. Don't flip-flop. So I shouldn't recognize a guy being 27.7 under the cap where you have a longer window of a Super Bowl window than the Niners do. Okay. Just as I thought. Idiotic. Idiotic conversations when you talk like that. Make no mistake about it. Okay? All right. I want to point this out to you here. Oh, before we get going, James Franklin, the head football coach at Penn State, should be fired. He should be fired. And so should the athletic director. Happy Valley, you got another problem again. You got a scumbag coach. You want to take shots and shit at Dion? Well, here, let's put this out there. So James Franklin and AD Sandy Barber are getting in the way of medical decisions that are being made with student athletes so that they can get these guys disqualified, so that they can get their fucking scholarships taken from them because James Franklin has no character and he can't honor a contract or he can't honor a scholarship. One kid was in a situation where he was committing suicide. Franklin wanted him discredited and wanted him disqualified so he could take his scholarship. Hey, scumbag, step down. Step down, scumbag. Step down. Step down, scumbag. Give a kid a scholarship. They're 1-year renewables. You could tell a kid you're not good enough. You might want to transfer. It's another thing to disqualify kids that are hurt and using that as a reason to get rid of them. And one kid who almost killed himself in suicide and was in psychiatric care, to disqualify him, you're a fucking scumbag. You can't win big games. You're begging for nil money, and you're no Joe Paterno. Time to step down, scumbag. I have absolutely no respect for you. Kid was in psychiatric protocol. Dr. Pete Seidenberg, Penn State doctor who was in charge of medical care for all student athletes in the football program, testified on the stand to these comments and the interference by the AD and the head coach. You are a scumbag. Kid puts his trust in you, goes to a school, wants to be coached, wants to play at Penn State, one of the best programs in the country, and you've turned it into a fuck show. That is what's everything wrong with college football is James Franklin. He's the head football coach, and they're afraid to fire him because he's black. And it's a good look over Paterno. Remember what I told you about being a coach? It's got nothing to do with skin color. I don't want a black coach. I don't want a white coach as my coach. I want the right fucking coach. That's kind of stuff right there that aggravates me. Penn State is some of the greatest fans on the planet. It's an amazing fan base. Amazing fan base. Amazing alumni. And you got a coach like that who can't beat Michigan, Michigan State, Ohio State, and can't win big games. He's a loser. Everything wrong with college football is in Happy Valley right now. Who would have thought that after the Paterno mess and the Sandusky mess? Who would have actually thought that? And you got a guy and you had a player on your team who was going to commit suicide, and Franklin wanted to pull a scholarship so he can give it to someone else, not help the kid. Bro, you're there teaching student athletes. They're students too. You're a scumbag. Unbelievable. All right. Kind of stuff just gets to me a little bit.